Hello, and welcome to Moments in History. I'm Linda Shenton-Matchett, author, speaker, and history geek. While researching my stories, I unearthed tons of intriguing historical information that doesn't end up in my books. So I've created this channel to share these tidbits with you, and I appreciate you stopping by to watch. Despite coming into adulthood during the 1970s, I did quite a bit of research in preparation for writing Dial S for Second Chances, during which high school sweethearts reconnect at their 45th reunion. I was surprised at how much I remembered and forgot. Perhaps every generation thinks their decade or decades are the most interesting, turbulent, and/or maybe life-changing. But my research reminded me of the many changes that happened in the U.S. in music, movies, politics, culture, and business during the 1970s. There are many easily remembered women who were trailblazers during that decade, such as Shirley Chisholm and Gloria Steinem. But there are just as many who have been lost into the obscurity of history. One of those is Vera Rubin. Who, might you ask, is Vera Rubin? Born in July 23, 1928 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, she was the younger of two sisters of Jewish immigrants from Eastern Europe. Her father, Pesach Kobeski, who changed his name to Philip Cooper, was from Lithuania. Her mother was Rose Applebaum from Bessarabia, which is present-day Moldova. Her dad was an electrical engineer at Bell Telephone, where he met her mother. The family moved to Washington, D.C. in 1938 when she was 10 years old. In an interview as an adult, she said, "Even back then, I was more interested in the question than the answer. I decided at an early age that we inhabit a very curious world." Although her father was dubious about the career opportunities in astronomy, he supported her interest by helping her build her own telescope out of all things cardboard. Together, they observed and tracked meteors. He also attended amateur astronomer meetings with her. Her mother granted written permission when she was very young to check out books from the 12 and over section of the library. Vera would later say that her parents were very, very supportive. However, they did not like it when she stayed up all night. Some of her teachers were not as encouraging. And in fact, her high school physics teacher went so far as to say as long as she stayed away from science, she'd be okay. But Vera knew exactly what she wanted to do: go into astronomy. She tried to enroll in a graduate program at Princeton, but was barred because of her gender. And it would be another 27 years before the university would accept female astronomy graduate students. Inspired by Maria Mitchell, who had been an astronomy professor at Vassar in 1865, Vera applied there and was accepted. She received a scholarship to this prestigious women's college, where she graduated a Phi Beta Kappa as the only astronomy major in 1948. After that, she applied to Cornell, where she studied physics under many noteworthy scientists, including the great Richard Feynman. She also met and married her husband Robert Rubin, who was also a graduate student there at Cornell. She received her master's degree in 1951, a year after having her first child. Encouraged by her husband, she went on to Georgetown University, where despite difficulties, such as not being able to meet with her advisor in his office, because women were not allowed in that area of the Catholic University, she earned her PhD in 1954. Oh, and she also managed to do this while pregnant and then giving birth to her second child. While at Cornell, she studied the motions of over 100 galaxies and was maker of the first observation that deviations from something called the Hubble flow, which is how galaxies move apart from each other. In her dissertation, she concluded that galaxies clump together rather than randomly distributed themselves through the universe. This was highly controversial at the time. Over the next 11 years, she held various academic positions. For a year, she served as an instructor of mathematics and physics at Montgomery College, a tiny junior college near where I lived in Maryland. From 1955 to 1965, she worked at Georgetown University, where she was first a research associate astronomer, then a lecturer, and then finally an assistant professor of astronomy. In 1965, she moved on to the Carnegie Institute of Washington, where she met instrument maker, that's scientific, not musical, Kent Ford, and they would collaborate for most of her remaining career. Challenges continued as she was accepted to observe at the Palomar Observatory, a building that had no women's restroom. According to one source that I found, one of her colleagues said she went to her room, cut up paper into a skirt image, and stuck it onto the bathroom door. "There you go," she said. "Now you have a ladies' room." Thanks to her work with Ford, she devised a theory called peculiar motion of the universe, which she published in journals in 1976. Dismissed by leading astronomers of the time, the theory has since been proven and is now referred to as large-scale streaming. Perhaps her greatest contribution was her evidence of dark matter, or non-luminous material, that makes up the universe. This was initially proposed by Fritz Zwicky in 1933. Her work forced the scientific community to take the argument for the existence of this dark matter seriously. In addition to her studies, Vera spent her life advocating for women in science, and she was known in the scientific community for her mentorship of aspiring female astronomers. She received numerous awards and accolades. However, she never sought status, saying in 1968, "For me, doing astronomy is incredibly fun. It's an incredible joy to get up every morning and come to work, and somewhat larger framework never really quite know what it is I'm going to be doing." Later in her life, she wrote, "We have peered into a new world and have seen that it is more mysterious and more complex than we had imagined. Still more mysteries of the universe remain hidden. Their discovery awaits the adventurous scientists of the future, and I like it this way." In 2015, the National Science Foundation Vera Rubin Observatory began construction in Chile. Unfortunately, like many projects, this was impacted by COVID, but the facility is now nearing completion and expects to open in December of this year. Vera and her husband ultimately had 4 children, all of whom earned PhDs in the natural sciences or math. 2 are geologists, 1 is an astronomer, and 1 is a mathematician. All recalled later in life that their mother made a life of science appear desirable and fun, which inspired them to become scientists themselves. Vera passed away on Christmas Day 2016. I hope you've enjoyed today's moment in history. If you'd like to learn even more history, please stop by my blog, which can be found on my website at www.lindashentonmatchett.com. And consider subscribing to this channel, clicking the bell icon to receive notifications of new episodes that release on the 2nd and 4th Fridays of each month. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.